Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here today.
We're really excited to have you here today, where we are going to be talking about designing pages for your website. With AttractWell, you have access to everything that you need to manage and grow your business. And of course, at the hub of all of that, in terms of the front-facing stuff, is your website. So this could be your homepage, it could be pages of your funnel, it could be landing pages you create, sales pages, etc. Today, we're going to be talking about the elements of pages, some basic best practices for design, and we're going to be very specifically exploring some of these features inside of the AttractWell Page Builder. So if you're new here, welcome. We're excited to have you. We meet every Thursday at 2 o'clock US Eastern time, except for holidays, which, by the way, we will not be live next week. It's Thanksgiving here in the US. I hope you guys enjoy that and enjoy the additional training that we will be providing to you for next week. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I've got a short set of slides prepared for you, and then we will actually be going straight off into AttractWell to look at the page builder to actually do a little bit more showing of what it is that you'll be playing around with in your system. So if you have questions or if you are here for a live review, I want to encourage you to head right on over to the Q&A and just let us know that you're here or that you have a question, even if it doesn't pertain to today's topic. So today we're talking about page design 101 using the AttractWell Page Builder. So today we are going to begin with some page design best practices. We will get into a page builder overview in terms of like the functions and different features of the page builder. We'll talk about how to use page and section templates, and we will explore what it looks like to integrate designs from Canva. So if you want to use different design elements, different images, etc., from Canva, we'll talk about how you can use those with AttractWell here today. Of course, as always, we will get into live help and Q&A. So if you are here today looking for help, if you could put that request into the Q&A so that we don't miss it in the chat. And again, all questions are welcome. This is a live work session. It's an opportunity for us to work together, review what you're working on, and for you to get real-time feedback and support. So definitely, if you're live here today, take advantage of that. Go ahead and head into the chat if you haven't already and say hello. Let us know where you're coming in from. And if you are watching this as a replay on YouTube, you can go to attractwell.com/office hours to sign up for these calls. You will be notified of what we are talking about every week. And of course, you will be getting a link to join us, and you'll be the first to receive replays and resources. If you'd like to work together on a call like this one, you can reserve time for this. You can go to attractwell.com/work review. And if you would like for someone on our team to do work for you. So today we're talking about building pages. If you would like for someone to do this for you, we have an incredibly talented, qualified team who can do just that. If you go to attractwell.com/concierge, you can learn more about the team and request a no obligation call to discuss your project. All right, so let me know in the chat, are you working on your website? What does that look like for you? Are you working on your website currently? And if you are, what page on your website are you working on? What is a page on your website that you are focusing on right now? I've got some yeses. We're building a landing page for group coaching, building out a client's membership program. Awesome. Just always working on it, Sharon. Got it. All right. So before we get started with creating pages, let's go ahead and cover some basics of page design, right? So we're going to be talking really mostly today about visual design, right? So we're not necessarily talking in great deal about funnel function and forms and all of that kind of stuff. We can definitely touch on some of that, and I'll show you where you can attach different features to the page. But very specifically, I want to make sure that you are clear on what it looks like to express the visual design that you want on your pages. And so let's talk about some best practices to get that done. The very first thing that you want to make sure that you are clear on before you get started is your brand kit or your brand palette, right? So you want to establish your fonts and colors for your brand. This is going to create visual consistency and congruency across everywhere that you show up. It's going to make it a lot easier for people to not only interact with your brand, but to build trust with your brand, because there is consistency and polish and professionalism. And that trust, of course, is what's going to contribute to people converting into leads and ultimately into clients. So those colors and fonts, I wouldn't, if this is something that you feel like you are kind of stuck on, I want to encourage you to just go with what you like and follow these guidelines. It's something you can always change in the future if you want. But here's the rule of thumb, okay? So 5 to 6 colors is the upper end of what you should be looking at. You can have black, white, and one color, or you could just do black and white, totally up to you. You can keep it very, very simple, or you can go a little bit more expressive color-wise. Just make sure that you are not creating something visually overwhelming, right? Similarly, we don't want to go nuts with fonts. We want 2 to 3 fonts. A lot of people like to have a standard font and then maybe one that's a little scripted. Actually, you can look at our AttractWell Office Hours logo in the bottom right of this slide and see an example of this, right? So that Whitney font, that's called Whitney, AttractWell's font is called Whitney. That is the font that you see everywhere that you see AttractWell. Right? When you interact with AttractWell, you're seeing that font and your brain knows it's AttractWell before you even see our logo when you're seeing our font along with our messaging, right? Same with that logo, the colors. And then with office hours, we've added just a little bit of a splash there with a scripted font, right? 2 to 3 fonts maximum, and you want to make sure that they're the same ones that you're using everywhere. Now, these are going to show up on your website, obviously. We'll talk about that today. Also on your social media, really anywhere you show up. If you're creating graphics to share on social, you need to use the same fonts and colors. Website, same fonts and colors. PDF downloads, same fonts and colors. Thumbnails for content, same fonts and colors. See where I'm going with that? We want to keep it consistent across the board. And remember, in particular, where we're designing pages for your website that serve a purpose, design is here to complement your content. Design is not the point. Design is the punctuation, right? So if you're not a designer, you could take a deep sigh of relief and understand that if we're formatting our content appropriately, we have done 90% of what's necessary, right? Everything else is a flourish on top. We just have to make sure that what we're doing with design is not detracting or distracting from what it is that we have to say, which is really the thing that's going to move the needle for you. So with all of that said, in all caps and forever, let this be the mantra when we sit down to design something: less is more. You may be a maximalist in your wardrobe. That is not how we want to roll on our website, okay? And then finally, once we've established our fonts and colors, we want to add those into the colors and fonts page in AttractWell. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Now, moving on, we've got our branding figured out here, right? So now we got to get into purpose. So when you create a page, 99% of pages that you create will have a single purpose and a single call to action. Typically one, there very rarely are other cases, but the one consistent case where there's not a single purpose and call to action is going to be a homepage, because a homepage really is sort of a spot to land and direct people off to something that's more relevant to them, right? And obviously we want to be able to grab leads on that homepage if we can. That needs to be a clearly placed and highly visible call to action. But generally speaking, every page that's not your homepage is going to have a single purpose, single call to action, and really shouldn't be linking off to or promoting anything other than that. Okay, so we have to get clear on our page purpose and what it is that we want people to do, or our call to action when people are on that page. So you have to ask yourself first, what do I want this page to do for me? Do I want it to close sales? Do I want it to convert leads? I mean, those are really the two primary purposes, right? Or maybe I want them to absorb some information and then move on to some other next step. But typically we want it to convert leads, or we want it to close sales. Yeah. Again, if it's a homepage, we want to grab them forever if we can, right, with a lead magnet. But if they don't, if they don't do that, we want them to scroll down and find another thing that's more interesting to them, right? And then they go to a page that has a single purpose and a single call to action, right? So now we know what we want the page to do for us. What action does the visitor need to take in order for the page to achieve its purpose? Typically, this is going to mean filling out a form. It might mean if the form is on a pop-up, we're clicking a button and filling out a form. the form may be embedded on the page, or in the case that you might be sending them to a vault to check out, then the whole point of the page is to get them to click the button and then go fill out the form on the next page, right? So what do we want it to do for us, and what do they need to do when they get there to fulfill that stated purpose? We have to remember that, and this is proven fact, right? There's been studies done on this. If you give people too many options, they'll take 0 of them. So keep it narrow, keep it focused on the purpose and the thing that you want them to do in order for that purpose to be fulfilled. So stick to that one call for action per page, again, vast majority of the time. All right, now when we're getting into constructing the page, it's really important that we remember this less is more mantra. Really, really important, because it's very easy to get visually overwhelming, right? And when things get visually overwhelming, just like giving people too many options to choose from, if they get visually overwhelmed, their brain shuts down. They don't want to engage with this anymore, right? So let's talk about how we can take that in to design on purpose. So we want to make sure that we are clear on that page purpose from the top to the bottom of the page, and we need to stick with it throughout. And it needs to be communicated pretty clearly, not the here's what I want out of this, but what they'll get from engaging with this, right? You want to make sure, and this is an above the fold point, right? So the very first thing that people see when they land on a website, they need to understand what that page is for and what they're going to get out of engaging with it. And maybe, ideally, some compelling reason to take an action right this second, right? And if they don't take an action right this second, that's fine. Then maybe they're curious enough to keep scrolling, right? And that information that's beneath should still be something that's trying to convince them to go back to the action that you suggested in the beginning, which is to click this button, fill out this form, etc. Right? So be clear on what this is and what they'll get from it, and stay on message. And really, really try to edit yourself, right? Even if you have a lot to say, try to see if you can really squeeze that into fewer words. We can often be more concise than we think we can. And one of your absolute best available tools for this is that Write with AI feature in AttractWell. Take the copy that you know you want to include, pop it into there, and ask it to give you 3 to 5 different iterations of higher concision. I want this to be a little bit more concise. Here's what the purpose of the page is this. I want them to do this. This is what I want to say. Show me how to say it more concisely, right? Ask Write with AI and AttractWell to do this for you, and you can really edit yourself down in terms of your copy there. And if you ultimately do have to say a lot, so maybe for instance, this is a long form sales page, or maybe this is your about me page and you have a lengthy story that really needs, like you need all those chapters told on the page. If that's the case, don't try to squeeze it into a couple of sections. Add more sections, space it out. So if you have a lot to say, create a lot of space for it, because scrolling and negative space is your friend. Scrolling is engaging, and the brain likes to engage if they are getting something good from what they're engaging with. And negative space gives breathing room to the mind when we're consuming content. If it's just a giant chunk of text, that is going to be a lot more difficult for you to get somebody to sit through and read than spacing that out. I want you to really file away any of the APA or other standards that you learned in schooling about writing and how you structure. Copywriting is a very different game. And we need to be presenting our information, not always necessarily in complete paragraphs, but in statements that are easily absorbed, because that's how we're going to compete with a very, very, very distracted visitor, right? They could be the, at the highest end of the IQ spectrum, they're still super distracted, and their brain, even though again, they're super smart, high capacity, their brain does not want that, right? They want to engage with the things that are more fulfilling. So to that end, I want to encourage you to also utilize animations and other design features to draw the eye to those important statements and calls to action that you want to make. We do have animation features, which we could talk about here on today's call, that can make things kind of pop up or move on the screen. And you can also just keep it simple and use larger, bolder, heavier weight fonts, right? You could change the color of your fonts. And of course, you could have a button of some kind of high contrast color like red or something like that, right? Now, finally, let's talk about Canva before we go off and take a look at the page builder in AttractWell. Canva, if you don't have it, highly recommend that you get it. They do have a free option. And again, if you are here today, which I'm sure you are as a business owner who wants to have a website for your business and brand, and you have other places that you're showing up for your brand, this is one of those just obvious things that you need to have, right? Because if you don't have this and some super basic understanding of how to use this, you're going to be shelling out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for somebody, and then it taking a ton of time to like have somebody else do it for you. Learn how to do simple stuff in Canva, and you can self-edit on your website for a fraction of the cost, and you'll be in control of the creation and schedule of things like content for your brand. It's a really important thing to consider getting, especially the pro version, which is like $100 a year. So highly recommend that you check that out. All right, so Canva with AttractWell, we do have an integration. We have an AttractWell, in AttractWell, we have a Canva button, right? So when you want to swap out an image or add an image, anywhere in AttractWell where images are capable of being added, which is just about everywhere, there is a Canva button, which is really cool. It makes it really easy for you to just pop stuff from Canva straight into AttractWell in the format that you want it. So a couple of presets that I want you to know. This works in regular Canva in your browser or the app, or in AttractWell if you are using the AttractWell with Canva button, right? Blog banner is one preset that you 100% need to remember, because it is the easiest way to create a large, well-proportioned image to go in a section background. So if you want to use section background images on your website, you want to design those or use images from Canva, then that blog banner preset is one of my absolute favorites, and it's going to give you the resolution size that you want in most cases. Logo is also a good one to remember, and that is just a 500 pixel by 500 pixel square image, right? And this is going to be great for creating really any, obviously, square shaped image that you want to use on your site. If you want to treat an image like a button, this is a great resource for that. They show up nicely on desktop as well as on mobile. And if you're using this preset in Canva on desktop, or rather in a browser or in the app, you could also export with a background removed, which, by the way, that is one thing that you can't do with the Canva button in AttractWell. If you need an image that does not have a background, right, you want to isolate an element from a background. So say you want a circle, right, you're going to use that square image logo, right, to create that circle that you want, but you have to export it from Canva directly in order to create that background removal. So any other images that don't have that particular use case, you can use that Canva button in AttractWell to get it done. And then also, don't forget, if you're using Canva, which you should be, and you've picked out your fonts and colors, don't forget to set up that brand kit that's made available to you in Canva. That's going to help you to stay consistent across the board, not just in AttractWell, but also in Canva, where you're creating content for social media and other things. All right, so let's go and check out the page builder and explore some of these features. All right, so first things first, I do want to make sure that we are clear on where to find this. Our colors and fonts you find right under here, under website and blog, colors and fonts right here. You'll see that there are multiple different opportunities to enter. So you've got brand colors. I've got some selected here. We've got our fonts that are the defaults in the system. Highly recommend that the ones that you have chosen, you add here. One will be set up as your headline font, and the other would be your body text font. Now, in AttractWell, we have Google fonts, which are those sort of open license type fonts that you can use. And if you're just getting started, highly recommend that you start with that, right? You can purchase additional fonts in the future. It's totally fine. But if you're just getting your feet wet with a brand and business, just use Google Fonts. It's free, and it's plugged right into AttractWell, and it's really simple to use. You can also go in and modify your button colors. Highly recommend that when you're doing this setup, that you use the colors that are a part of your brand kit as you've maybe placed here. Make sure that you've got some buttons that are colored accordingly, right? So you would actually click here, and then you would maybe swap out your hex color, or you could use this little color picker here if you'd like. And this is what it looks like to make this change. on a Mac using Safari. If you are using a different operating system, it's going to look slightly different for you. But yeah, make sure that you've got your colors and fonts set up. And once you do, you can head right on over to Pages and we can start creating. So I'm going to go over here and click Add. Real quick, I'm going to show you guys where you can find templates. So we do actually have templates for lots of different types of content, right? So if you want home pages, about, this links page, this is going to take the place of something like a link tree. You don't need link tree when you've got AttractWell. You could even collect leads from your link tree-esque page on AttractWell, which is really cool. Sales page templates, you could always start from blank, of course, which I will be doing shortly. We've got landing and registration page templates, confirmation page templates, favorite things, like if you're an affiliate and you want to show people your favorite stuff, you can link to affiliate products on pages like these. You could have a services page or courses or coaching, offerings page. You can have, if you have something that's in production, but you want to collect leads in the meantime, we've got under construction or wait list pages. We've got service contracts, footers, gallery photos, and of course, a terms and conditions page. So anything that you want to get started, we've got a starting point for you in terms of the pages themselves. I'm going to start from blank, like I mentioned, just to show you that you can also kind of create your own framework. This would also be something that I would do if you are maybe wanting to recreate a page that's on another platform. Maybe you built a website somewhere else and you want it to look kind of similar. I like to actually go through, I just click this little button to add, and then you can just add section by section to kind of create a little framework for yourself. I really like to use a two-column text and image combo above the fold. That's not the only way to do things. You can certainly do this differently. Perhaps if you've got an image that has a lot going on over here on the right-hand side, you can make that a section background and just have text here. But this is a really simple and easy way to accomplish an above the fold, like a nice little above the fold section. Maybe after that, I want to have a header, because the first thing that I want somebody to do when they land here, and this is true for the majority of pages, I want them to take advantage of what's being offered to them right away. Now you can forego something like this and use a pop-up, which you would actually do in the settings over here under leads. You could use a pop-up, and then you could choose to have the pop-up appear. Here we go. After, maybe they have scrolled past a certain amount of the page, or an amount of time has passed, or you could do an exit intent. Just make sure that you have some kind of lead generating opportunity on the majority of your pages that don't otherwise have a clear stated purpose, such as a home page, right? Or an about page. Those would be instances in those cases. Obviously, I wouldn't do something like that on a sales page, because the sales page is for selling something. So if somebody didn't opt in here, for instance, I could then start to explain a little bit more about what they'll get when they do, or what working with me looks like. So here I might break down 3 different points. So I'm going to use a 3-column checkbox for that, right? And then maybe I want to get into a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more depth. Let's look at a 2-column here. Actually, kind of like this one. Here's a 2-column explainer, nice big picture in the background. Again, you can utilize these templates to whatever extent that you want. Maybe I want to put some pricing in here, right? So you can add all of these different sections. Now that we've got a little bit to play with here, let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to modify and make this your own. Great, will do. All right, again, sorry about that, you guys. A little bit of power issue in New York City today, and it's not even really, the weather's not that bad. Okay. So what we were getting into here is how to modify the different features of these sections. So whether you've brought in a template from the start, or you've built out a sort of skeleton framework of what you'd like to have on a page like this, there are a few things that you might want to do. So the first one may be that you want to change the content itself. So let's explore the different tools that we have available to us. So we have these 3 different editor tools up here. The first one is content. So that's going to be for if I want to maybe select what's here and edit the text, or maybe change the button color, or if I wanted to select this image and maybe replace it with a different one, right? So maybe I'll change it to this one here. If that's what I'd like to do, then I can use the content editor. If I want to edit styles, this is where I could actually come over here and maybe select this image, and I can, maybe add some shadow to it, right? So if I want to increase some shadow back behind it, you can actually, I don't know how well you can see that, but we're actually including a little bit of a shadow here behind that image now. So if you want to select an element and make some changes to it, another thing that you could do with this element style editor is, let's just say perhaps you wanted to have a background color, and I'll get to this background settings here in just a moment, but maybe I'd like to actually have this section here be a bit more visible. Maybe I want this to be white or like a sort of grayish color, so that I can see the text here a little better. So with this element style editor, I can actually select the box here, and then I can increase the opacity. You could even change the color. Please don't do it like that though. That's not attractive. So I'm going to increase the opacity, and then I'm going to maybe introduce some padding, some space to the top, bottom, and maybe the left-hand side. So that's a bit more visible. So that's stuff that you can do with the element style editor. This one here, actually, you can see that I can select the entire box. And maybe if I wanted to change the background color of this box, I could do that with this element style editor. Maybe I want to change the color here. You can see that's gray. I could change these by selecting, again, that specific element that I want to change. And then finally, we have a column editor. And so here you can see this is a 2-column section. If I were to maybe decrease the size of these, I could replicate one. And so in that case, here, let me decrease the size of both of them. And actually the better thing to do here would be to duplicate. Voila, right? So if I wanted to have 3 payment options, I could do that. So these numbers need to add up to 12. That's why that didn't work when I tried to do that initially, right? You can also remove and play around with sizes, right? So if you wanted to have a larger one and a smaller one, or again, 2 of the same size, you can play around with the columns that way. So those are the editors. The other tools that you have up here are your previews for different devices. This is something I want you to make sure that you're using throughout the design process of a page, so that you are able to determine whether or not the design that you are creating, that you like the way perhaps it looks in this desktop format. You want to make sure that it also looks really good on mobile. So we can see, for instance, that we don't really like the lack of spacing between these two. So we may choose to actually just go in and make some modifications using the content editor here. And actually, I'm going to select the whole section. And then over here, oops. Let me see. I'm going to click here and just hit enter. Actually, that's not what I want to do. I want to do that down here. Anyway, so you might want to add some additional space. Obviously, I'm not doing something that's super attractive here. Let me just start over from scratch. All right. So if we like how it's going, let's just say perhaps we want to we like the way that it looks here. I would increase some space here. Space is your friend. This is too close together. These are too close together. And I would even think that these boxes are a little bit too tight as well. So what I would do in this case, and maybe pop over here and look and see, we don't love the way that this is left aligned. I prefer it to be centered on mobile, and there's not enough space here. Now we can go back and make some changes, right? So the first thing that I want to do in this section is actually introduce some padding. So this is the section settings. This is where you can do things like changing the background color and the padding of a section. So I'm going to click this pencil here, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to increase that top padding. And I'm going to go ahead and give the bottom some padding as well. So we can actually do a quick preview and see if we like it better before we move out of this section. See, it's so much nicer. There's more breathing room, right? Between the top up here with our logo and our menu and the content of the section. So now that we've done that, we can also take a look at our phone. And again, I don't love how little space is between these, and I want it to be centered on mobile. So in that case, because I want the design to be different, I'm actually, let's first go ahead and address this and replace this with the image that we know we want to use. So we're not replicating our efforts here or doing things multiple times. Here we go. This is going to be what I'm offering. I'm going to duplicate the section, hide the first one on mobile. And actually, do I like what it looks like on tablet? I'm fine with what that looks like on tablet. So on this one, I'm going to hide it from mobile and I'll use it on all other devices. And this next one, I'll hide it on all other devices, right? So this one is no mobile and this one is only mobile. And so here, I'm actually going to make sure I'm in my content editor and I'm going to select all of this, center it. And underneath my button here, I'm going to hit enter just a couple times because I know that's going to create some space between these two. Now we can go take a look at mobile and see if we like it better. And we do. That's much, much better, right? Right, so now we can actually get in here and take a look at the rest of these sections. Again, padding is your friend. Use it. Please use it. It's okay to get people to scroll. In fact, it works in your favor because it's giving them something to engage with, right? If you're just sitting still reading something, trying to digest a whole lot of text, you're going to disengage a lot more quickly than if you were actively participating. And scrolling is actively participating. So space is your friend, right? I want that space in this section here as well. Again, top and bottom padding. But maybe, and let me just go ahead and duplicate this section here since I like the height of it now. Maybe right here, I'd like to have some kind of an image background. And I'm going to delete this guy right here because I don't think I want to use that. It's going to be too busy for me. I want to change this background section. It's just gray right now. I want to pop something up here that looks interesting. So maybe what I'll do, I could do that in this section, but I think what I'd prefer to do is make these the same so they look like they're together. So let me change the background color of this heading. So I'm going to click here, show colors, and I'm just going to grab the color from here. And so when we are on preview, they actually don't look like different sections, right? It actually looks like this is unified, right? So use color to unify sections. Another option that you might choose here is to maybe provide some kind of a shadow. So I want to maybe do an upward shadow here, and I'm going to increase the opacity and blur it out a bit. And now when we look here, there's actually some visual separation, right? So now we've got a shadow, right? So we've got something interesting that's kind of popping up here, providing a little bit of 3D on the page. So let's take a look at how we can add a visual element for visual element's sake. Okay, so this would be for those of you who want to maybe have like a nice background image, right? A nice background image that someone can scroll past. Maybe it's evocative of something that you're offering or a benefit that it offers. So I'm going to come over here. I've clicked a little pencil in this section. I'm going to change background image. And I don't have any here that I like, so I'm going to add a design from Canva. Here I'm going to type in blog banner because that's the one if I want to have a nice background image in a section. I need that. So if Canva would like to let me read the cookie policy, there we go. So now we can actually go in and select an image from their elements section. So maybe I actually searched for a forest previously. I want to search for a beach now. Okay, so here's a beach photo. How about I pop that in here? And real quick, before we move forward from here, if you're using a premium image, and you can see this little, or pro image, that's these little crowns down here, Canva's going to give you trouble exporting an image that just has a pro image in it, right? Because they want you to have more than one element in that file that you're exporting. So what I do is I'll just like add a little element here, and I'll send it to the back, layer it back. And then just go ahead and stretch this image out as far as you'd like it. kind of center the perspective however you'd like to have it in your image. Make sure that it does take up the entirety of the image you're creating, and then send it off to AttractWell, and it won't give you any issues. And this is going to be the same as well. You'll actually get an error message if you're in Canva on a browser like this. It'll basically say you need to have other elements in the image. So just put something in the background behind the picture itself. All right, so it'll take a moment to add it to the gallery typically, because this is going to be a very high resolution image. It's going to be a large file that adds into your system. And you can see we've got a little slice of it right here. So what do we need to do? We need to add some padding so that we can see it. And we also can go in and position it. So maybe I want to make sure that it's centered, because on the phone in particular, actually, let's just take a quick look at this, right? So if we looked at this on the phone, it is more or less centered. If we look at it here, you can see that like we don't see the water, right? And it's centered to the left. We can't see anything that's over here to the right. And then here, we can't see the water at all, right? So there's a couple of things that we can do here. Number one, we can choose to center the image this way. We can choose to add more padding so that more of it shows, or we could use this parallax background, which allows you to scroll over the image. So the elements of your page are actually animating and scrolling over the image itself, right? So this is an option that you have access to on your pages as well, which is pretty cool. Now there was a request for animation. So let's go ahead and take a look at that using this edit element style. I'm going to select the entire box here. And then right up here at the top, we have animation. So I am going to bounce in left, and I'm going to delay 0.5 seconds. And I'm going to do this one as well. This is going to be bounce in right, and I'll delay it maybe 0.6. So when I hit done here and we get to that part of the page in our preview, you should be able to see, voila, they just bounce right in together, right? So you do have multiple different options where this is concerned. You can, they can fade in, up, down, left, right, flip in, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff here. They can wobble, zoom. So those effects are really great if you want to maybe have in a section a button animate. So again, we want to make sure we're using the element style editor here. Select just the button, and then maybe this is going to be a wobble. And I want to do that after 0.2 seconds. And so let's take a look and see what that looks like. Wobble in, there it is, right? So this, you can add as many of these as you like. Obviously, again, bearing in mind that we can detract from our message if we get too busy. So make sure that what you're putting here is congruent, of course, with what it is that you're offering, what the purpose of the page is, and what the action is that you want someone to take. So when in doubt, when you have longer form content to share, also make sure that you are adding additional sections. So maybe I want to kind of give like a little bit of a bio. So here's an about me. So this is fine. It's, a little bit, this is a little bit heavy on text. It's not too bad. I'm going to remove this button here, and I need to use that content editor for that purpose. I'm going to unlink it, and then I'm going to delete it. But maybe this isn't the end of the story, right? So I've got some things to say here. I'm just going to copy this filler text just for the purpose of doing this moving forward. So I'm going to say a little bit here, and then maybe I'm going to use a header here to make a point, right? So I'm going to use this little sentence here, just again to make a point. It's a little too large at 60 font. So I'm going to change the size down to about 40, and maybe I'm going to bold it, and I'm going to italicize part of it. I want to kind of draw the eye here, and then I'm going to keep my story going by maybe creating, maybe I like the style of this section. So I'm going to delete, or not delete, I'm going to duplicate and then move it down. And then in the column editor, I'm going to swap the order of these two. And maybe I will switch this image out with a different one, right? And then add more content. So maybe this is where I tell a different part of my story, right? So break this up. I mean, if you have 8, 9, 10, if you've got 1,000 words you need to say, you should do it in about 15 sections, right? You want to make sure that you've got a lot of space here for people to read a point and then, get a little bit of a punctuation and then engage a little further, etc. Right? Is that making sense? That's how you want to approach breaking up content on your pages. Now, final touches here, depending on what the purpose of the page is, you do want to consider whether or not you show the header or footer. If this is a standard website page, such as a home page, about page, services page, etc., having a header and footer is perfectly fine. If this is a sales page or a landing page where your main goal is to get them to convert, right? You are offering a singular point of conversion, then I often encourage to remove other options for people to click off and go somewhere else, right? So do keep that in mind. If it's something that you want the search engines to find, you'll select everywhere. If you want this to be only available by link on your website or elsewhere, you click by link only. If this is a public page that you want to be publicly shareable, discoverable, then you're going to want to make sure these are filled out. This would be the image that appears when you share on social or via text message. The description would go along with it. And then the meta description is what's going to show up under the link in search engines, should this page show up in a search. If you are offering a lead form somewhere on this page, you do get to choose whether or not it's a pop-up, whether it's displayed on the page with this form tag, or if you don't want the lead capture form at all. Those are all options. Again, you can have this be a pop-up that appears with exit intent, time, or scrolling a certain amount. And then, of course, you can set up your capture form however you like. We do have more extensive trainings on creating sales pages and landing pages using these types of pages on other trainings. So I am interested to see if we have any review requests. If there's something that you would like to look at together, happy to do that here with you. I thought I saw a request come in, but I don't see it on the calendar. So if y'all could bear with me for just a moment, we can go and double check and make sure if you're here, you are looking for that help. Do head over into the Q&A. I don't have anything from previous, like before I got kicked off here because of my connection. So definitely let us know if you are here for that purpose. Let's see. Actually, yes, it looks like Phyllis, are you here? If you are, definitely let me know. And it does look like, in this case, I guess, Phyllis, if you're not here, this is something that we might need to reach out to you. Our team might need to reach out to you because you want to change your domain and hosting over to AttractWell. So I think you can look forward to us reaching out to you about that. All right, do we have any questions, or do you want to talk through any specific use cases while we're still here? Happy to do that with you. Catherine says, when we click add from Canva, is there a way of finding something we put together previously in Canva, or do we have to download it and then upload it to AttractWell? So yeah, there is a way. If you have an existing design in Canva, let me actually get back into the Jane account so I can show you this. So do you know how, Catherine, when you're in Canva and you are in a design, and you want to bring in something from a previous design into one that you're working on, there's actually like a folders of your other work that's available in that Canva button in AttractWell as well. So let me just go into a page and I can show you exactly what that would look like. Oop. Let me get back over here and add. Okay, so maybe I want to change this image here. That's here we go. I'm going to change this one. So I'm going to click replace. I'm going to click the add design from Canva button. You do want to make sure that you're specifying the size. So this is a square one, I think. So I'm going to select logo. And then I'm going to open Canva. And then over here in the left-hand column is projects. And right here in projects, you're actually able to see all of the designs. You can even, if your Canva is well organized, which this one that I have is not, you can go into your designs and find the ones that you've used previously, right? So these are all options that are available to you. And these would be ones that you've already started. So yeah, just to look over here in this left-hand side, go to projects, and then you'll be able to import whatever it is from a previous design that you may have been working on. And again, this is true if you're in Canva, like in the browser as well. Okay, Peggy, I don't see that in the Q&A because when our power went down 3 times in a row, it removed, all I see are things that are on since this most recent time I've been able to join. So, oh, here we go. Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much. All right, Peggy says, on the registration page for the program you're offering, on the what to do after a lead registers, I set it to the automation, remove all bundle sales campaigns. Would remove the sales campaign, whichever one he received, and prompt him to register. People are still receiving sales campaign messages after they register. Okay. The automation name doesn't match the automation keyword. I'm going to bring you out, Peggy, and we're going to investigate this together because there's a lot here. And I think it would be more helpful to chat about it. Hi.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Very
Hope the
good.
weather is nicer for you than it is for me.
We need the rain.
Oh gosh, we really do. I'm not sad about it. It's
Yeah,
just
no.
it's so weird. Like I have never ever had a problem with power flickering in the years that I've lived in this awesome building that we're in. And today, literally, the one day I'm on live broadcast, it happens 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. All right, Peggy. So the page that all of this is on, I want to start with that. And this is the 6123. Here, I'm going to open the share here so we can take a look at this together. Okay. What's it called?
Look, it's the bundle 6123 or 61234556.
This one.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's look in the settings under leads, payments. Okay. So I don't see an automation. So do you want the automation to apply to all purchase cases?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I put it under the leads tab.
So I don't think that that's a problem.
Okay.
Okay. So, right, Greg, if she wants an automation to run on anyone who purchases on this page, it's okay that it's right here, right?
Yeah, that'll run no matter, payment, not payment, as long as somebody fills up the form and submits it to the next page, that would run.
Okay. Okay. So here we are remove.
Do you see
Are
at the
there,
top? Do you see
I'm
at the
sorry?
top do you see at the top where automation name does not match keyword? I must have changed it somehow. Could that be the reason why those campaigns are not removed after the contact registers?
So Greg, we've addressed this duplicating and having the same name in 2 places, right? Like,
Yeah, so I mean, the only place that changing the keyword and having that mismatch and not have the automation work would be is like if you have that in an email or a campaign message, because that's the part that uses the keyword. If you have it connected right up to the page, then it should run it no matter what the keyword is. And if you do happen to have more than one that runs or that matches that keyword, I think it runs them both. Or runs them all. I'd have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it does that.
Okay.
Okay. So this should be removing all of those campaigns. Are you missing any?
Yeah, actually, 4 people registered for the program, and all of them got continued sales campaigns. I did delete the campaign from the contact on the people who called it out to me, but I left it on one because that person hasn't said anything yet. So I figured that if you wanted to look at the person's contact card and see the campaign, maybe that it would somehow link it to something and that would give us the answer.
Okay, so for the purpose of privacy for your people, I can't show that.
Okay.
And we've got a slightly different bundle 25, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
And
and
that's
these are welcome campaigns. So they are getting a campaign when they purchase, all of them, but it's a welcome campaign, right?
correct.
Okay, so all right, I'm gonna see, and I've got to pop out of here so I don't show anybody's contact information. I'm gonna see if I can find what I'm gonna do right now. I'm just gonna talk you through what I'm doing. I'm going to contacts and I'm gonna go to the filter button and I'm going to filter for those contact tags. So this is tag bundle 2025 1, 2, 3 and bundle 2025 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm filtering for that. And you said that there were 4 people? I see
believe
8.
it's okay.
All right, I see 8 people. And I'm just gonna pick, actually, I'm gonna pick the first one. You're included in this list. So campaigns, we've got a welcome campaign. There's someone on day 5. There's someone on day 22. That same person's on day 22 of a holidays vault, 5 TTL sessions, 5 TT welcome. Okay, so those are all older ones. Again, I'm just going to be clicking through these so that I can tell. I've got a no campaign. That's cool. Holidays vault, welcome in all sessions. So that one's not, it doesn't look like that's a promotional campaign. Can you tell me the first name of somebody that's receiving sales messages?
Marion.
Marion, okay. Oh, that was actually, no, I don't see, so let me get out of the section where you can actually see contact info and I'll show you that the campaigns that are applied to this person, there's a welcome campaign and that appears to be it. And this would be representative of anything that is going out, unless maybe there was, did you send a broadcast out that this person might have received?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I did delete a few of them because I didn't want them to receive any more of the sales campaign. If it's okay, you know, let me find the one that I left. I thought it was Marion, but maybe it's a different one. And I can maybe email support.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the more expedient way to do that. And
Okay.
also, again, just making sure that we aren't, broadcasting anybody's personal info.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing. It looks like the way that you have it set up is correct. Unless there's, just something else that's out there that might be running on folks that might not be included in that removal automation. But if it's all there, then you should be good to go. So that might be, it might be something best to take to the team that can kind of dig in a little further.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. All right. Thank you guys for sticking around and your patience through my tech issues today with connection. If you would like more sessions like this, if you'd like to work together on more sessions like this, if you're designing pages, whether that's for function, for payment, for any number of different things, we'd love to sit down and do more of this with you. I fully believe that as a business owner, you can do this stuff, right? We are built for people who do not have graphic design or web design degrees to be able to simply go in and create things that work, right? And if you want to hire our team, oh my gosh, do it. They're amazing and you won't regret it. But you can absolutely get in, get things done, and manage all in one place with AttractWell, and we're just so grateful to be a part of your journey. Quick reminder, we will be gone next week. We will not have a live call, but we will be sending out a complimentary training to you that you don't want to miss. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And I hope, of course, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving next week, that you have a great one. And of course, we look forward to seeing you the week after. Hope you have a great week, everybody.